The Next Generation became the gold standard of Star Trek. But its history is full of buried secrets. Did you know there's a banned episode that was never allowed to air? Or that Gene Roddenberry flatly refused to cast Patrick Stewart?
We're doing the best we can.
14 facts, starting with the ones they don't talk about. Number 14. The banned episode, Blood and Fire. Let's start with the episode you were never allowed to see. And this one really was shelved. In 1987, David Gerrold, the legend who wrote The Trouble with Tribbles, delivered a first-season script called Blood and Fire. The Enterprise finds a ship infested with deadly bloodworms that Starfleet's standing orders say must be destroyed on sight. Written at the height of the AIDS panic, it was an unmistakable allegory. And the cure was the crew donating blood without fear. Gerrold even wanted an end card urging viewers to donate through the Red Cross. The script also quietly made history. It featured Star Trek's first openly gay couple, mentioned exactly once. Because in the 24th century, nobody would care. The script was bought and buried. One memo warned of angry letters from mommies. A rewrite called Blood and Ice stripped out the gay couple and the AIDS allegory, replacing them with space zombies, and never aired either. Gerrold quit, sold signed copies of the script for AIDS charities, and 20 years later, finally directed Blood and Fire himself as a fan film. The boldest episode of The Next Generation was never allowed to exist. Number 13, Roddenberry on Patrick Stewart. I Won't Have Him. The definitive Star Trek captain was rejected by Star Trek's creator. Producer Robert Justman saw Patrick Stewart speak at UCLA and knew instantly he'd found Jean-Luc Picard. He arranged a meeting at Gene Roddenberry's house. Stewart came, charmed, and left. And the moment the door closed, Roddenberry turned to Justman and said in his exact words, "I won't have him." The objection was follicular. The man who imagined a future without money, war, or prejudice could not imagine a bald captain. The campaign to change his mind took months. Executive producer Rick Berman recalls constantly bugging Gene about the bald English guy. Roddenberry finally relented on one absurd condition. For the final studio audition, Stewart had to wear a wig. So a top theatrical wig maker in London built a hairpiece and shipped it across the Atlantic. And Patrick Stewart auditioned for the role of a lifetime wearing borrowed hair. Paramount executive John Pike watched the reading and delivered the 8 words that made television history. Go with the English guy, but lose the wig. The baldness Roddenberry feared became the most iconic head in science fiction. Number 12. The Borg were originally giant insects, the franchise's greatest villains. The cybernetic hive mind that gave us resistance is futile were never meant to be cyborgs at all. The Borg were originally conceived as a race of insectoid aliens, an inhuman swarm intelligence, television's answer to a hive of locusts with starships. One problem, the special effects budget of 1980s television couldn't possibly sustain convincing insect aliens week after week. So the concept was redesigned into something cheaper. Actors in costumes with tubes and blinking lights. And the accidental genius of that budget cut is hard to overstate. Bugs are scary, but they're other. The Borg that reached the screen in Q-Who are terrifying precisely because they're us. Pale, half-machine humans, a fate you can be converted into rather than merely eaten by. That's what made Picard's assimilation into Locutus the most shocking moment in franchise history. Even better, the insect idea wasn't thrown away. It was quietly recycled into the Urata, an alien race TNG mentions, but fittingly, never had the budget to show. Somewhere in the multiverse, the Federation's greatest enemy has antennae. Ours got Borg drones because the scarier version was the affordable one. Number 11. Wesley Crusher was originally a girl. The most divisive character in Star Trek history almost didn't exist, because in the earliest plans, Wesley Crusher was Leslie Crusher, a teenage girl. The creative team reportedly worried that a boy genius wunderkind was too tired a cliché, a concern that, in hindsight, was extremely well-founded. Somewhere along the development road, Leslie became Wesley, and 1,000 internet arguments were born. And the name itself is a confession. Star Trek's creator was born Eugene Wesley Roddenberry, meaning the brilliant youngster who kept saving the Enterprise while the professionals stood around baffled, was quite literally named after Gene himself. Fans have read the character as Roddenberry's idealized boyhood self-insert ever since, and the naming makes it hard to argue. It also reframes all that early season resentment. Audiences weren't just annoyed at a precocious teenager. They were watching the creator write love. Letters to his own younger self at warp speed. Wesley Crusher, We Hardly Knew Ye. Number 10, The Casting Multiverse. Wesley Snipes on the Enterprise. The bridge crew you love was nearly a completely different crew. Wesley Snipes, the future Blade, was considered for Geordi LaForge. Rosalind Chow was a favorite for security chief Tasha Yar. She'd later join the franchise anyway as Keiko O'Brien. Bill Campbell auditioned for Riker, lost it to Jonathan Frakes, and was consoled with a guest role as the rogue Okona. And the actor who did land the big chair was so convinced the whole Enterprise, pun intended, would collapse that he famously refused to unpack his suitcase for weeks after arriving in Los Angeles. That was Patrick Stewart, who assumed this dubious Star Trek revival would be swiftly canceled and he'd fly home to the Royal Shakespeare Company with a nice tan. The suitcase sat there, packed. As the show became a phenomenon, Stewart stayed 7 seasons, 4 films, and an entire sequel series. The lesson of TNG's casting chaos, the difference between the timeline you know and a bizarre alternate one, is a handful of auditions. And one unpacked bag. Number 9. Roddenberry's lawyer was secretly rewriting the show. Season 1 of TNG wasn't just rocky on screen. Behind the scenes, it was a war zone with a bizarre villain, Gene Roddenberry's personal attorney, Leonard Maizlish. With Roddenberry's health failing, the lawyer, a man with no writing credentials whatsoever, began acting as his gatekeeper and mouthpiece. David Gerrold described Maizlish coming aboard and taking apart 6 months of work, including removing the gay couple Roddenberry had publicly promised fans the show would include. Multiple accounts from the era describe the attorney making script notes and inserting himself into creative decisions he had no business touching. Add Roddenberry's infamous writer's Bible rule, that the evolved 24th century crew must never be in real conflict with each other, a restriction the staff found creatively suffocating. And the result was an exodus. Gerrold walked. Legendary Trek writer D.C. Fontana departed. A parade of staffers burned out and quit in the first 2 seasons. The show about humanity's harmonious future was, ironically, one of the most dysfunctional workplaces in television, and it only found greatness after the turmoil ended. Number 8. 2 episodes were literally banned in the UK and Ireland. The banned episode isn't just a script story. Finished, aired TNG episodes were genuinely banned from broadcast overseas. Exhibit A, The High Ground, a 3rd season episode about terrorism, contains a single line in which Data casually mentions the reunification of Ireland in 2024, achieved through a successful terrorist campaign. Airing during the height of the Troubles, that one sentence got the episode banned from broadcast in both the UK and the Republic of Ireland, a ban that held for years, making it a legendary lost episode for British Trekkies. Exhibit B, Conspiracy, the 1st season shocker where an alien-infested Starfleet officer's head explodes on screen in loving practical effects detail. A scene so graphic for 1988 television that it won an Emmy for makeup and got the episode temporarily banned in the UK. The Utopian Family show managed to get itself censored on 2 fronts, one for politics, one for gore. Roddenberry's future was apparently too much for the present. Quick systems check. If this deep dive is earning it, hit like and subscribe so we can keep unearthing the stories behind the classics. Now, red alert. because the entire existence of this show was a gamble that every network in America refused to take. Number 7. The show that no network aired. Here's a structural secret hiding in plain sight. The Next Generation was never on a TV network. Paramount launched it in first-run syndication, selling it directly, station by station, across the country with air dates and time slots that varied city to city. It was a colossal gamble, an expensive, effects-heavy drama with no network safety net, no fixed national time slot, and a premise most executives considered a nostalgia trap. The bet was that Star Trek's name alone could carry it. It could. TNG became the highest-rated syndicated drama on television. And then it started collecting trophies no syndicated show was supposed to touch. The Big Goodbye won a Peabody Award, the first syndicated program ever to do so, and still the only Star Trek episode. The pilot became the first TV episode nominated for a Hugo Award since 1972. And in its final season, TNG was nominated for the Emmy for Outstanding Drama Series, the first syndicated series in history to crash that party. The show every network passed on ended up embarrassing all of them. Number 6. TV's greatest cliffhanger existed because Picard might quit the best of both worlds. Picard assimilated, Riker ordering the Enterprise to fire, smash, cut to be continued, is routinely called the greatest cliffhanger in television history. Here's the secret. It was written that way partly because nobody knew if Patrick Stewart was coming back. His contract was up for renewal at the end of Season 3, and the negotiations were unresolved. So the writers built a season finale that could function as either a cliffhanger or a captain's funeral, with no plan for how Part 2 would resolve. That summer of agonized fan speculation, the writers were speculating right along with them. And here's the detail that proves how deep Stewart was in by then. Once he did resign, he lobbied Roddenberry to keep Picard as Locatus of Borg for several more episodes, finding the violated machine-half Picard more interesting than a quick rescue. The request was denied, but its spirit won anyway. Picard's assimilation trauma went on to fuel the film First Contact, define Benjamin Sisko's grudge in Deep Space Nine's premiere, and echo all the way into the Picard series 30 years later. Television's best cliffhanger was a contract dispute wearing Borg armor. Number 5, saucer separation was supposed to happen all the time. In the pilot, the Enterprise D does something spectacular. It splits in two, the saucer full of families detaching from the battle-ready star drive section. That wasn't meant to be a special occasion. Separation was planned as a routine tactic, the whole justification for putting children on a warship. Then reality intervened twice. The effects sequence was expensive, and as the producers discovered halfway through Season 1, it was dramatically fatal, grinding tense battle scenes to a halt for several minutes of stately model work. Final tally, the signature capability of the Federation flagship was used exactly 4 times in 178 episodes. The budget graveyard has an even better ghost. The writers considered ending Season 6 with the ultimate cliffhanger, crashing the entire saucer section into a planet. Too expensive, couldn't be done on a TV budget. Number 4. The dead character who got the greatest do-over in Trek history. Denise Crosby, frustrated with how little her security chief Tasha Yar was given to do, asked to leave in Season 1, so the show killed Yar off, abruptly and almost meaninglessly, slapped down by an oil-slick alien in Skin of Evil. It was a shocking, anti-heroic death, and widely considered a waste. Story over. Except the Next Generation did something almost no show would dare. It apologized through time travel. In Season 3's Yesterday's Enterprise, an alternate timeline restores Yar to the bridge. And this time, learning she died a pointless death in another reality, she chooses a mission she knows is fatal, trading a meaningless end for a meaningful one. Then the show doubled down that alternate Yar survived into the past, and Crosby returned again as Sela, Yar's ruthless, fully Romulan daughter. Number 3. The First Lady of Star Trek was everywhere, including the walls. Here's a presence you felt in every episode without necessarily noticing. Majel Barrett, Gene Roddenberry's wife. On camera, she was the gloriously scandalous Lwaxana Troi, Deanna's mother. But turn off the picture, and she's still there. Majel was the voice of the Enterprise computer, and went on to voice Starfleet computers across nearly every corner of the franchise, from The Next Generation through Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and beyond, right up to a posthumous appearance in the 2009 film. For millions of fans, the voice of the future itself is one specific woman. Her role behind the scenes was even bigger. After Gene's death in 1991, Majel remained one of the franchise's fiercest guardians and a rights holder, earning her unofficial title, the First Lady of Star Trek. She'd been there since the very first pilot in 1964, when she played the Enterprise's first officer. From almost captain to the literal voice of every starship. No one else's fingerprints are on more of Star Trek. Number 2, your tablet is a TNG prop that escaped the set. Every week, the Enterprise crew casually tapped away on flat touchscreen slabs called pads and diagnosed problems with handheld tricorders, decades before any of that existed. Those props weren't predictions so much as blueprints: the flat touchscreen tablet, the sleek all-glass interface of the ship's LCARS computer system, the idea that you'd talk to your computer and it would talk back. TNG normalized all of it for a generation of future engineers who grew up watching. Ask the technologists. TNG's tablets and tricorders are routinely credited as inspiration for the real devices that followed, from tablet computers to medical scanners. There was even a multi-million-dollar X Prize competition, literally named after the tricorder. Number 1, the sequel nobody wanted became the standard everybody chases. Remember what this show was up against in 1987. Critics and fans alike were skeptical, bordering on hostile, a Star Trek without Kirk and Spock, from a creator whose recent track record was shaky, sold into syndication because it wasn't worth a network slot, with the first season so rough its own staff was fleeing. Every ingredient of a historic embarrassment was present and accounted for. Instead, 178 episodes across 7 seasons, a Peabody, a Hugo nomination for its pilot, 18 Emmy wins. The first syndicated show ever nominated for TV's top drama prize. It outgrew and outlasted its parent, launching Deep Space Nine and Voyager, 4 feature films, and 25 years after its finale, an entire sequel series built on the audience's refusal to let Picard go. The best of both worlds, the measure of a man, the inner light, episodes now taught as some of the finest television ever made. The follow-up that was supposed to tarnish a legend became the new legend. To this day, when a beloved franchise attempts a revival, the question asked in every writer's room is the same. Can it pull off what The Next Generation pulled off? Almost 40 years on, the honest answer is still, probably not. Those were 14 facts most fans have never heard about Star Trek: The Next Generation. Which one got you, the banned episode or Roddenberry rejecting Picard? Log it in the comments. If this earned it, hit like, subscribe, and send it to the friend who still can't sit in an office chair without tugging their shirt down first. Until next time, make it so.